Well, here it is. If you're familiar at all with the automotive corner of YouTube, you probably see several YouTubers, vehicle virgins, who buy their dream supercar at 19 or buying their dream car, whatever. And then the next video that they immediately follow up with is 5 things I hate about my new car, 5 things I hate about my dream supercar. And it almost makes you think, gee, they're so excited to make all of this content, and then they immediately follow it with things that they don't like. And by doing that, it makes it seem like they don't even like the car that they purchased. And I want to start off by saying that that is not this kind of video. For one thing, I've owned this car for 6 months, and these are just a couple of little nitpicky details that I have come across over this time of ownership with this car. Now, of course, we as humans are not perfect, and neither are these cars. And we don't design these cars ourselves, and we don't go through the rigorous, ergonomic tests ourselves. And even if we did, these cars would probably still have flaws. Now, if you saw this video coming, well, it was kind of inevitable, but it's not one of those other hate videos. And speaking of which, you'll even notice by the way that I titled this video, 5 things I dislike about my 2015 Audi S4. Because ultimately, these are things that I dislike, not things that I hate, because I love this car. And that is what I want to talk to you about today. So with that out of the way, here are 5 things I dislike about my 2015 Audi S4. So starting off with number 1, the first thing that I want to talk about that I slightly dislike, but ultimately doesn't even bother me that much, is the amount of black plastic in here. If you've been around a lot of German cars, especially sort of lower-end German cars, you see an absurd amount of black plastic everywhere, throughout the dash, all of these materials, just everything that you're constantly looking at is usually black plastic. This is something that doesn't bother me that much, particularly about this car. I used to have a GTI before, and that car had a lot of black plastic in it. And this car, I think because of the way that the interior is laid out, it doesn't quite make it as bad, and I actually think it really doesn't look bad at all. But there still is a lot of black plastic nonetheless. So like I said, this video is going to consist of a lot of nitpicky details and things like that that I specifically don't like about this car, and that is just number 1. Let's move on to number 2. So the second thing I want to talk about is regarding the trunk. When you go to open the trunk, get all your stuff out, it's just like any other typical car. Now, under here, on each side, there are 2 grab handles to pull it down. Now, if you're like me, I park in an end spot, so my car is against, like, the trees over here. So I pick up all my stuff, and I get out, and I go to close the trunk. However, when I go to close the trunk, the emergency grab handle is right here, and I'm extremely tempted to pull it. However, it is really flimsy, and I think that that's just kind of an interesting design. I admire that they tried to integrate it into this handle because it kind of conceals it from the rest of the trunk, but your instinct is to go and pull it down. However, when you pull this, it is, like I said, really, really flimsy. So you can pull farther into the handle, or you can pull from the trunk down, or wherever. It's just kind of, I guess, a little bit of a nitpicky thing that bothers me. Let's go on to number 3. Okay, so for the third thing, we're back in the front. And what I want to talk about is the infotainment system. If you've watched several of these videos, you tend to see people talk about this. It doesn't bother me a huge amount, but let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to put the car in accessory mode, hit the start button, it does its whole thing, and it pops up the screen. Keep in mind, when the car is cold started, turn that off for you. When the car is cold started, hasn't been on for a long time, it usually tends to take a really long time for the MMI screen to come up, especially for a Bluetooth connection. Now, that's okay. I mean, I get it's an older system. You know, this was developed, I think this first came out in the 2013 model year because they had a different infotainment system for the B8 S4. So I'm pretty sure that it was 2013. So that makes it, at the time this video is filmed, that makes this interface 7 years old. So I get it. I understand. So all of your buttons are centered down here. You've got all of your controls for your MMI. So I can scroll through all of the different car settings that I want to have. I can go over to my media, to my radio. It's all pretty great, except for the fact that this infotainment system is incredibly slow sometimes. Sometimes it literally just does not respond, and that's okay. But it is starting to show its age. I mean, if you just look at the graphics of
the telephone screen here or the graphics of the menu. It's something that doesn't bother me a lot. Obviously, it doesn't have CarPlay or anything, and when it comes to navigation, I just use Waze on my phone, and for Bluetooth, I'll just use the regular Bluetooth, but sometimes it takes the Bluetooth a really long time to start. So it's kind of an old infotainment system. It definitely shows its age. It's not something that's a huge deal. It's not like a really outdated like Mercedes infotainment system or something, but yeah, it's something that doesn't bother me a whole lot. It might bother you depending on how much you use the system. Don't get me wrong, it's still a great system. It's just definitely showing its age. So with that, let's go on to number 4. Okay, so we're staying back up front here for the 4th thing that I dislike about this car. Now, take a look at the steering wheel. We have a lot of steering wheels like this you see today. Controls on this side, controls on this side. Multi-functions, multi-function wheel. Works really well. Before this car, I had a Mark 7 GTI, and right here it had a skip track button. There is no skip track button on the B8.5 S4 steering wheel. Keep in mind, because I have the Audi exclusive interior, this steering wheel is different, but the controls are the same. The only thing that's different is that this is a bigger wheel and it's completely perforated throughout. So there are no skip track buttons here. If you want to skip the tracks, you have to go down here to this little knob. A lot of people that ride in this car that want to change the song, change the volume, really confuses them, think it's completely bizarre, and don't know why the hell they did it like that. And quite frankly, I don't know why either. This probably bothers me about the most about anything about this car. And it's really not even that big of a deal because, you know, the skip track button could be here versus here. You know, this is maybe 1.5 feet, something like that. So if you want to skip the track, you do this knob side to side or backwards, whatever you want, and that will skip the track for you. You can also press it down to mute or turn off the infotainment system, which is kind of a nice feature. So turn it for volume up this way and then volume down. I'm not going to turn the volume all the way on for copyright reasons, but little flimsy knob here, really kind of strange. And the more you kind of keep going at it, it tends to feel kind of flimsy a little bit. But I mean, it's all right. It's not such a big deal, but the faster you go, the slower the infotainment system responds. Like I said before, it is an older infotainment system. So not a super huge deal, but it is a bit strange to not have it on the steering wheel here or even here nonetheless. So with that, let's move on to number 5.
Okay, so last but certainly not least, I want to talk about the 5th thing that I dislike about this car. Yes, I know we're still staying up front, but I spend a lot of time up front, so makes sense. So what I want to talk about now is the cup holder situation in this car. First of all, there's a really nice long spot. You could put a cell phone, pair of sunglasses right here. It's pretty deep too. Really great storage pocket. And towards the front up here, there's a large cup holder for large drink, fits really well. And then for some reason, Audi decided to make a really small cup holder. You see my hand like barely fits in it. And I don't really know why, because it's not really useful for anything at all, quite frankly. I put, you know, even like a regular Poland Springs bottle, I'll show you in a close-up clip, it doesn't even really fit that well. It fits, but not super well. If you have like a regular like fast food drink or something, it does not fit in here, and it's just kind of a weird thing, maybe for like some Voss or something, I don't know. I don't really know what the Germans think we're drinking over here in terms of cup size, but they gave us one really big cup holder and one really small cup holder. I don't know why we can't just have 2 normal sized or 2 big cup holders. That would be fine because it has little things that move based on the side of the drink. That would be fine with me. I don't know why Audi chose to do it like that, but it is what it is. Alright, so there you have it. Those are 5 things I dislike about my 2015 Audi S4. Like I said before, they're mostly nitpicky little things because I absolutely love this car. Do you guys have an Audi S4 or really any car? Let me know. Leave them in the comments section below. What are some things you dislike or maybe even hate about the car? Let me know in the comments section below. Got a lot of new content coming soon, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me if you want to see a lot of new content. And like the video while you're at it. You're right there. You might as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.